had everybody trying to take advantage of us because they say we were so nice. Christopher Columbus. Now this the thing. Okay, so they said we ain't have guns. Christopher Columbus allegedly said in his diaries that we didn't have guns, and that because we didn't have guns, and that the way he described it, because I just picture based on what he said. He said that we were afraid almost of this type of weapon or this type of things like he said they were fearful of this gun. So he talking as if we didn't know what guns was when the Moors came over here. They used to have guns like the British. Everybody before he did.
Okay, let me deal with that.
Okay.
This is how you know that guns is nothing new. They just named and changed over the millennia to protect the guilty. If you go back to the Dogon, when they was given instructions by the Momo, right? They said, do not partake in the projectile weaponry. It is forbidden for you. They don't use guns to this day.
I think I heard something like that, but when they said it, I thought they were talking about a slingshot or something.
Talking about the guns. The guns. Before you come with energy-based weapons, when a new civilization is on the rise, it's going to always figure out projectiles first. Because it's the easiest thing to discover. Picking up a rock and throwing it. Your arm is a projectile weapon. You're slinging a projectile. But it's going to evolve where you figure out how to make the projectile deadly. This is backing it up with some extreme power under pressure, like gunpowder.
That's right.
Encased in the shell, capped with a slug. Right? So the guns ain't nothing new. Right? They got different kinds of guns in ancient literature, but they not the kind of like, for instance, they got ancient Chinese guns that was like a Gatling gun and shoot a whole bunch of like bottle rockets at you at one time, like 100 of them. So it's been around a long time.
Now this is the thing, man. So the British, it seemed like to me, the Moors was taking advantage of us at the same time, but then it's like it was different groups. Like one group was only protecting their people. Like they had Muslim Moors over here, they were protecting them. Just like the peace in the treaty, it said that we want to only protect our people, the American citizens, the Moors. That's American citizens. That's what the Morocco said. Then it said nothing about indigenous people, right? And then, but a lot of people make that when they say, when the Moors made that statement, they were talking about indigenous people. Those American citizens were indigenous people, right?
Okay, now you gotta remember, a lot of what they attributing to the Moors is actually done in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Right, because Morocco only been Morocco since this 1900s.
Yeah.
The flag came from Noble Drew Ali, who had it first, which came from an ancient Indian flag from over here, which was actually a banner. Then they took it over there and established Morocco, but Morocco, like everybody saying ancient Morocco, not ancient. It's not even 150 years old yet. Right? And all of this is part of us when we understand that they use this conjury to put us under a hypnotic spell. Right? The hypnotic spell was enforced through, because you have to do, when you do a conjure of that magnitude, you have to have what's called a maintenance system. If the maintenance system starts to break down, the power over the spell will break because nobody's maintaining the conjure. And so this is why you had an 1812. They didn't understand fully how the conjure worked. They were still figuring it out. Right? But the spell began to break off the people. And war broke out.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So with the American Revolution and these guys, cause we building up to it. These guys got brought over here by the Moors. These criminals, they were convicts that were starting the 13 colonies. They were like mostly convicts, and the convicts were working for dirty Moors, working for Moors.
They were all indentures. They was called indentures when they came over. They wasn't called criminals yet.
Okay. Yeah,
they was called in because in Europe, see, you got to go back to the to English law, which most of us on this side of the land don't know jack about what was going on in England when all of this stuff was going on, because we only care about what's going on at home, which is practically makes sense, because we ain't supposed to give a damn what's going on at your house. I mean, we ain't taking care of what's at our house. So all of our focus is trying to figure out the history only from the American viewpoint.
Right.
But when we start going into world history, and this is why Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben used to be so hostile sometimes toward people trying to explain this stuff to them. Right? And Dr. Ben was one of the first ones saying that it's two groups of black people calling themselves the rightful Jews, and one of them is a fraud.
Right.
Right? And then Dr. Clark is the one to tell you how they even got, how these newcomers, these pale faces, even got to be called a Jew.
Right.
Right. Then Dr. Clark also said, I question the intelligence of anybody who believe everything in that supposed to be true. So he said that the stories is not even supposed to be true. Some of them are metaphors.
Right.
Right. But when you break it down, go back to its origin, all of the stories converge on the holy drama, which is the Syrian resurrection story, the oldest resurrection story on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And the only reason why we confused about it is because they changed the names to villainize the innocent and glorify the guilty.
This brings my next question, Rod. Now, how could you be once you find out all this information about the doctrine of discovery, about how Elizabeth and them got over here scheming and scamming, doing magic and witchcraft, to get over here and force us by gunpoint to be Christians? How could you still be a Christian after this? Like, how could you still believe it? Like it's hard to go with that. Dang, we got colonized with Christianity, you know.
Before I knew that we didn't have Christianity, before the colonizer.
Yeah, right.
Before I knew that the Bible was written geographically for a small group of people out of the place today called the Middle East. Right. Before I understood any of that, I knew that they had the story wrong.
Dang.
I knew that. I told my mama when I was 5 years old, and the preacher was telling us a story. Mama, why that man up there lying? I've been knew that long that this was some BS. Now, my lifelong mission is to figure out how to tell the tribes what's going on without them thinking I'm batshit crazy.
Right. You totally get crazy, being that everybody being colonized with Christianity and indoctrinated with the Roman Catholic.
They hypnotized.
Yeah.
It's mass hypnosis. That's why they got us tied so strong with religion, because every time the hypnosis get to fade, religious people find a way to religiously bring you back into the fold of religion. Religion is monotony. Monotony is required in order to induce the hypnotic state. So anybody want to understand what I'm talking about, there's a preacher named Roy Masters, retired from being a hypnotist to be a preacher. And he have a book called The Hypnosis of Life that explained to you exactly how you was being hypnotized. Now remember, The blood magic is to put you in a stupor. That means that's how they tell the mass group of people to relax with the blood ritual. Because the pheromones from the blood sedates the angelic beings. So they go into this stupor. Because it was the blood of the righteous, it can't be broken until it's been fulfilled. Right? So now we just had to track down who blood did they use to put us under this spell. Right? And we know that the matriarchs now is primed to receive the heritable right back to the land. And so now they need to correct the sisterhood. The sisterhood got to be prepared to fall into that love energy in order to convert this place to heaven on earth. Once they do that, we'll be all right. But I'm gonna tell y'all something else. John D was using the black mirror. You remember that?
Yeah, that's what you just said, the black mirror. And he was right, yeah.
Do you know who else was using the black mirror around that same time, but they was French?
Not Bloody Mary, who French. What's the dude name?
Nostradamus. Yep. Yep. He was using the black mirror just like John D, except he was in France, a Huguenot, and John D was in English at the gentry.
Did he train
advising to the queen?
Then Nostradamus when he trained, he was training Mary. He trained Mary, Bloody Mary. The lady, you know,
I don't remember which one because the John D, Elizabeth, I think her name was originally Mary before she became the queen.
I was going to just ask you. Yeah.
Right. I think she was the one that was Mary of Bathory that they called Bloody Mary, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because Nostradamus was studying the Hermes or Tahuti's stuff. And he was a high power wizard. Well, that's what they, he was one of their high power wizards. That's why they always promote, his right. Now, that begs the next question: how does that Nostradamus tie with the slave ship narrative that they gave and the screw? Not because you was breaking that down a while back, where you said that they took the slave ship and it was really the layout of a church. You had showed
that's Notre Dame.
Okay, Notre Dame. That's what it was. Yeah, go ahead. That's what it was.
Right. So the flyer for the slave ship, with the slave ship on it, that they was using to tell us about slavery, is an actual overlay, Notre Dame University.
Yeah.
Right. It looked like it could be the blueprints taking away the schematics.
Yeah.
If you go to an aerial view of Notre Dame, it's a perfect if size it to scale where they both the same size and they perfectly fit one over the other.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
I got it somewhere on one of my Instagrams too.
Yeah, we did on the
where I showed.
I'll find that short and cut it. I'll find the short and cut it. I think I had already cut the short off of it though. I think the short already in your phone.
Yeah, I think we did that in the class too, didn't we?
Yeah. On the one called Where We See You Two Black Devils. And the one on how the slave trade was fake. They can go get the tape called How the Slave Trade Was Fake. We did it in that one. That's the one, that main one. I'll lock it in the description. Hey, that brings my next question, Rod. Because they good on this slave narrative. Now, once 1812, this is when we get around the Seminole Wars and the Gullah Wars, right? Because Andrew Jackson is the one that's running everybody out, trying to run everybody off.
That's like the second or third Seminole War there.
Okay, yeah. So when Andrew Jackson, the Seminoles, when we was fighting them, that was part of the conjure. That was like that. Like what part of the conjure? Because that ain't in the conjure. That just ended the physical battle of it. The physical battle.
So in the lodges, I don't know exactly who's responsible for because I don't have access to the record. It's a Masonic record. It'll tell you the names of the ones that agreed to the ceasefire. It's the secret treaties. I think it's like 72 secret treaties.
Yeah.
And Trump took him to Mar-a-Lago with him. That's why he got raided. But he wasn't there no more.
That makes sense.
That's what they was looking for. They was looking for the secret treaties because Trump had already sent them to the military under heavy guard in order for the conjure to be broke.
And that's why he holding the Bible outside of the church upside down.
Right. That means that the Bible spell is broke.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi tore the Bible up on the podium.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same day. That was the same exact date.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Pope announced, he washing his hands. He been did that actually before they told the Bible. So that gets that, yeah. So the Pope already know the conjure.
That's what made the other Pope step down. Because they wouldn't listen to him no more. Right? Because all this stuff was over with. He was telling them. Well, I think that was the Barack Obama letter.
In 2014, we got that documents too in the folders and the Native American chief folders.
Now everybody think that's a fake letter. Okay, well think it's a fake letter if you want to. It's in the public domain. It's not a secret.
Yeah, everything comes to fruition now.
Yeah. So when they told them they're supposed to dismantle the police and all that stuff. Yep. And told the American public what was going on. But what most of us don't know is Barack Obama was following the orders that old man Bush told him, if they take me out or if they get on to us, you have to sell the country. And that's the only way you're going to be able to get any protection overseas. He's supposed to sell it and flee. He got caught. He can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
They was all around him everywhere he get. This is what that whole situation when they was trying to kill him with Petraeus and all of that. Cause he had pulled off a full-fledged coup on the people of the land. He ain't from here.
Go ahead.
He pulled the coup on the pale face. You know he don't like for no darky to get over.
Type stuff. But we gotta have a lot of industry leaders on next. They won't be on here, but Zoom. So I want you to come and be at my launch next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific, and actually just take down that passcode. I would love to see us pack the place out. So I'm probably gonna give away some free gifts or something. That is probably what I'm going to do with that. For Friday, we actually I don't have a flyer for it, but we will have our Living in Private class at House of Reawakening Minds. So if you've been wanting to come for our 4 Fridays, we are having it again this 4 Friday coming up. So come out. People come from all over the country for that, Chief. I was telling them I get people to come from Florida and California and everything, and people who live next door across the street won't come over to the House of Reawakening Minds. People come from around the country, but they won't come around the corner.
Well, you know what they say in the Bible, prophet is not without honor except in his own home among his own kindred.
Absolutely.
So the ones closer to you is least likely to see your light.
Yeah. Leto Turner, if you don't like the way I host, you know what? I've been doing this for a while, and you ain't got to be here on my channel. How about that? How dare you talk about I'm not a good host, and I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. I've never seen you on here, whoever you are, and I'm saying that with a smile. I just let my folks get you. Like they can get you. Thank you for whoever said that. China Lynn, your friend, I'm talking about I don't know how to ask good questions. I talk conversationally. I when I'm friends with my guests.
If you had to explain yourself to somebody that came to your channel to watch your content, you're doing too much.
I know, but I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because it just jumped up. I'm like, how dare they? I'm not offended because they stupid.
Look, if you don't have no hecklers, that means you ain't doing something right. As long as you're doing something right, there's gonna be somebody trying to tell you. Remember I told you,
well, all she got to do is
wherever peaceful people congregate, look, wherever people congregate, peaceful people congregate, the shit started coming in. Can't stand to see two people, peaceful people having a peaceful conversation. They want some drama. They want some gossip, some juicy. Let's talk about Puffy. Let's talk about Will Smith. I don't care about them people. Let them people live their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you won't dim my shines, honey, whoever you are. I mean, you definitely don't. I think you're new because this is my style. This is who I am. And, you know, it is who I is. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Chief, as always, for coming on. I want to put this back up again, make sure that they know.
Thanks for inviting me over here to your space to come spend this time.
You know, it's always a privilege and an honor to have you here, you know, because we always learn something new. I do, you know, like I said. So, like I said, today, when you told me that he'd been in prison for Larry, who had been in prison for 52 years, I was dumbfounded. I was like, really?
Listen, here go the kicker. His co-defendant been out since the 90s, right? But Larry never killed anybody in his life. But the state case is a murder case. But they know he never killed anybody.
But they just, yeah.
COINTELPRO. If we don't understand that COINTELPRO was they changed the name to Readiness Exercise 1984. And it was exposed during the Iran-Contra trial. I'm just saying.
So, I mean, why did he get 100 years? Or I guess they didn't expect him to live this long in that situation, you know?
Well, you know, he had been stabbed several times in prison. He got stabbed in the county jail, and then he got stabbed in prison.
I didn't know that. So they tried to take him out even in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, he's there for a reason. He's survived for a purpose. And somebody said 2,000 years. They gave him 2,000 years.
200.
200 years.
They're sitting 200 years in the state. You know, in Illinois, they got anybody that have any kind of influence, and they catch them on what they call a Class A, I think it's called a Class A felony, murder, armed robbery, like that. They try to give them like basketball numbers, 150 to 200, just so they know that if they don't get no relief on the appeal, they won't never get out. So they give them life, you go up for parole in 20 years. You still come up parole. Like his last parole hearing that he went to, they denied him because he was under federal indictment. Okay. So it's a whole lot of guys that they didn't want to let out this out now. Right. You know.
Well, I hope his family listens to what your advice, which could you say it again so that just in case somebody's watching this in the family, they know the best way to go about?
I wouldn't go to the governor for clemency. I would have the lawyers file a special parole interview based on the sentence commutation from the president, and I would use his commutation as a letter of recommendation from the highest office in the land.
And the reason I wouldn't the governor is because he and Trump are at war.
Right. So we don't want them to use Larry for a political ping pong ball, because that's what ended up happening. He don't like Trump, so he won't get Larry no air. Larry ain't got nothing to do with Trump.
Right.
Other than Trump giving him some relief from that trumped up federal garbage. Mm-hmm. Look at this. George Bush, Ronald Reagan, Oliver North, and I think the guy named was Poindexter was all indicted in the for the Iran-Contra. Ronald Reagan and George Bush walked clean. Oliver North got I think he got a 1-year probation and a 1-day suspended sentence in jail. Now, they wasn't bringing over a key. They was bringing over tonnage. Let that sink in. And this man ain't did nothing but told all of us. He the reason why I was in there reading all them damn books. I didn't know what the hell they got me in the library reading all them damn books for. Somebody had to do it. He said, we need somebody to hit the library hard, read everything in there. I'm reading cookbook recipes, reading books in the library. Just so I can make sure I don't miss nothing. Reading law books, history books, obscure history, revisionist history, mathematics, science. Reading all this stuff. I'm like, and then I get to the point, I'm like, why am I reading this? And then some messenger come along and say, you don't need the paper to get your PhD, you need the knowledge. But the only thing he ever told us is the children that's trying to do right, protect them. We don't need no more gangsters. That's Larry. We don't need no more gangsters. We need doctors, lawyers, scientists, mathematicians. This is what he's been telling us since 74. Since he got he didn't even want the position. He was forced under the threat of death to take the position. That in of itself should be enough to give him some reprieve. And Don Dirk tell the story on he was either on Vlad. He was on one of them podcasts and he told the story. He was there. And they was like, Larry, these dudes say you their leader, whether you want to be or not. You can't shirk tribal responsibility.
Amen.
You bring the whole tribe down on your head. But when they got you thinking that it's something other than tribal, then the government can manipulate the story. Remember Malcolm said the media will have you thinking that your worst enemy, your best friend is your worst enemy. Media manipulation is all it is.
Well, I'm glad you listened. I'm glad you listened and studied and read and absorbed all that you did and continue to do that. It's become a way of life for you.
I tell you, if I known how to be doing all this social media, I wouldn't have did it.
I know people.
I hate social media.
Some folks in the chat have said they want to get in touch with you, but I know the only way they can get in touch with you is via social media. You have a YouTube page. They can DM you in YouTube, but there's no email that you give out or any website. So you'd have to go to. And do you have an Instagram or TikTok?
Yeah, the Instagram is a SikApe. I haven't did anything on TikTok yet, but I'm thinking about moving over there because I've been shadow banned on Instagram for over a year.
Oh, really?
They had me banned on Facebook for 2 years before they let me do a live.
Wow.
So when they blocked me out of Facebook, I went over to Instagram to do my lives.
Mm-hmm. So now
then they blocked me out. Yeah. Then they blocked me on Instagram and they forced me back to Facebook.
Well, somebody.
So I'm thinking about picking up TikTok because that's a whole nother niche.
Yeah, it is. And you got these little. I see you on TikTok sometimes, but people take, I guess, a little excerpt from your Instagram and then they put it on TikTok because that's some of those reactionary videos, and it'll be, oh, that's right. I've seen you on there, but I know it's always with somebody else making the, printing it, publishing it. So yeah. Said,
they did some amazing stuff with the information I put out. They made AI animations and all kind of stuff.
Oh, really? So it's like Denzel. No, sorry. Rod Hayes. Yeah. So okay. We added a little 20 more minutes, and Twitter is supposed to have more freedom. They show crazy things there. So do they have videos actually? I guess you can actually go live on Twitter. Somebody saying
I don't know. I have a Twitter account, but I don't use that.
X or whatever it's called now. I believe it's called X.
Yeah, it's called X now.
Yeah. So yeah, check them out. You know, as many places as you can show up, get this information out, and I know that people will be, enhance their lives, and the knowledge will be. Oh, spell SikApe. Do whoever see it on the screen? I don't know if you're just listening, but for PayPal, if that's what you're asking, it's SIKAPE01. Yeah.
But Instagram is the SikApe with no numbers.
The THESIKHPE. I mean APE. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Facebook is just Rod Hayes.
Okay. Yeah, that one's easier. All right. So okay. Well, listen, we're gonna go, and like I told you, I'll be back on Friday with Grand Chic. And for those of you who come to my launch on Saturday, I'd love to have you there. Learn about some stuff that's going to help you feel and look better. Yeah. So I'm being the poster child for it at 70. So.
Right offhand.
We were more discussing the organic original tribes over here, the old Mississippians, and the way that we moved across the land for the redemption process.
Oh, right. Okay. So that is about the Aboriginal people of America, correct? One moment.
Which is us. Which is us, the organic original people of this land. We was here before for anybody else. And what a lot of people thinking that we only reaching 2,000 years or so of civilization. We've been doing this for eons. We are the old Atlanteans come back. We come back all the time. Cycles within cycles. You're living for eternity. What you gonna do for eternity?
Cycle.
Because eternity a long time. You have to figure out something to do. The guys play games. And this is the game where the gods play it out in the realm of the people.
Oh, can you talk to me a little bit more about that? Because I've been on that frequency about realizing about the reality of death, what we've been misled. I was looking at the pyramids of Giza, and I started to realize those might be, I was thinking like resurrection chambers. The people, did they actually, when you say we live, we're eternal, are you being literal? Because that's what I think.
Literal.
Yeah, so talk to us.
All of these